probably April we're in right now, tax season. Hope everybody got their taxes done. Hope you didn't have to pay too much in taxes. Hope you know how much you paid in taxes because you probably paid a lot more than you realize. But don't let that get you down. We're going to talk about physical activity today and making our beings loaded with health and vitality and vigor and strength and might. So that'll get you rocking. Should feel really good about that. And hopefully by the end of April, we are so enamored in physical fitness and in activity and getting our bodies stronger and healthier that we're going to go into the summer just with exceeding momentum and feel like, wow, this is awesome. I'm getting somewhere. I'm already doing this physical activity. And you know what? The sun hasn't even been out for weeks and months. I hit July and it's just going to be, wow, you're going to find yourself right in that good stride. So something to consider with the human body. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, just put them in here and I will get back to you on them. But something to consider about the human body is that it is really good at whatever it does. So if the human body sits, it becomes very efficient at sitting. If the human body reclines, it becomes very efficient at reclining. If it lays down, it becomes very efficient at laying down. If it's walking, it becomes very efficient at walking. If it's running, it becomes very efficient at running. If it's climbing stairs, it becomes very efficient at climbing stairs. Whatever the body does a lot of, it becomes really proficient at. So if we want to be proficient at energy production and feeling vital and having really good circulation and having a mind that works really well and a heart that is really strong, then we need to take the opportunity to do the things that make us really proficient at that, make our body really proficient at that. So physical activity is the manner in which we become proficient at that. The only way we're going to get good at walking is if we walk a lot. The only way we're going to get good at swimming is if we swim a lot. The only way we're going to get good at running is if we run a lot. The only way we're going to build muscle on our body and maintain muscle on our body is if we do resistance training, strength training, things that force this adaptation to occur. Because the body, the craziness about the human body is that it is willing and able to adapt to almost anything. Even people that live in, a person that lives in a really cold climate, their body will adapt so that instead of having to wear 15 layers of clothing, over time they could wear 5 layers of clothing or potentially 1 layer of clothing and feel fine. And then that same person, if they're put in a really, really hot climate, will get to the point where they don't have to just be literally, in air conditioning nonstop to feel like they can survive. Over time, they could actually, their body will adapt and become very proficient at that hot environment, and they will be able to go outside and feel like, I could survive in this. So the human body wants to adapt. It wants to become whatever we want it to become. So if we want to be strong and fit, able to pick up our grandkids, no problem, able to pick up our kids, no problem, hold kids all day long. Have you ever noticed a mother who can literally hold their child, hour after hour after hour, and then you hand that same, 14-pound child off to another person, and they're worn out, in like 10 minutes. And it's not because this mother, the other person may be super fit, but it's not because this mother is, they're just, wow, they're crazy, crazy fit, and that's why they can hold this 14-pound child for hours on end. It's because they've been doing it so often, and their body is extremely proficient at doing that now. So the key thing to remember is, if I want to become proficient at life, if I want my body to function at a really high level, I have to create opportunity for that. I'm going to have to regularly, it's going to be a requirement that I perform activities that are just a smidge beyond my comfort zone on a regular basis to continually see positive adaptations happening in my body. There's a really interesting study that showed that 99.6% of the American population agreed and said that exercising is good for their health. It's good for our health. Exercising is good for health. Isn't that crazy? 99.6% of us believe, basically all of us pretty much believe that and think that exercise is good for us, it's healthy for us, that it could potentially, decrease disease and dysfunction in our body. However, only 22.9% of us actually perform physical activity at the minimum dosage recommended by the US government. So the minimum dosage for exercise is considered to be about 150 minutes a day, 150 minutes a week of essentially moderate or aerobic activity, which would basically be walking, brisk walking for about 150 minutes a week. Or, so it's 2.5 hours, or 75 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes of high or intensity activity, vigorous activity, like running or like high intensity interval training, maybe aerobics classes, CrossFit style, that kind of thing. Only 22.9% of people are actually getting that in. So that means, the majority of us on here probably are not doing that on a weekly basis. So it's high time we started doing it if we indeed want to be accumulating health and experiencing the dream for our body, which is progress all the time and not, slowly going down as each passing year occurs. I can do just a little bit less than I could do the year before. I can do a little bit less than I could do the year before. And this slow progress of going downwards. Because in reality, sure, your 75-year-old body may not be able to do what your 25-year-old body could do, but majority of things it actually can do. It's if the resistance is put to it, if it's consistently shown these things over and over again, if it's consistently resisted, if you do a set of push-ups. I knew this one guy, older gentleman, who would do every single day, he would do the number of push-ups of his age. So he was up into his 70s, and he was doing, 76 push-ups every day because he was 76 years old. And I mean, there's plenty of people, he could do 76 push-ups in a row, not just 76 push-ups. So the majority of human beings cannot do 76 push-ups in a row. And probably, I would say 99% of humans cannot do 76 push-ups in a row. But this guy, who's 76 years old, could do 76 push-ups in a row. Why? Because he's not superhuman. It's because he's been doing push-ups. That's his thing. He was like 39, I think, when he started. But every day he would do one set of push-ups to failure, just to make, to his age. So when he's 39, he did 39. When he's 56, he did 56. When he was 72, he did 72. And when he was 76, he did 76. So he maintained the ability to push himself off the ground 76 times in a row at that age. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that pretty impressive? But any of us could do this. There's probably many of us who could not even do a single push-up. If we fell on the ground and it was told that the only way you can get up is by using your hands, that we could not actually push ourselves off the ground, which to me is it's sad, I guess you could say. Very unfortunate, because it's something that is we are well able to do, and it takes a very small amount of time during the day to put in just a little bit of resistance to enable us to do, say, one push-up, to push ourselves up off the ground, or to maybe do one pull-up, pull ourselves up to a bar. Pull-ups are definitely more challenging than push-ups, I would say, but any of us, and I'm sure there's some of you watching this who are saying, there's no way, I'm whatever age, maybe I'm 20 and there's no way I'm gonna do a pull-up, or maybe I'm 65 or 80 and there's no way I'm gonna do a pull-up. Bottom line is, if we put resistance on our body to do a particular activity and we keep doing that, we will be able to do that activity. Our body, especially when we're talking about just our body weight, our body will adapt to do that. It will change its structure to make sure we were able to do that. Just like if a person sits all the time, their butt muscles, their glutes turn off, those atrophy, their hamstrings and quadriceps tighten up, their hip flexors tighten up, shoulders start rounding. All these things happen to make it so easy for us to sit there in a chair and be comfortable. So our goal is to make it actually uncomfortable to be sitting. I feel uncomfortable sitting all day. I need to do physical activity because that's where I feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable walking. I feel more comfortable walking up and down the stairs than I do actually standing in an elevator. That is more comfortable for me. That is what we want our body telling us. The way we get our body to tell us that is by performing those activities consistently. We don't have to go out and, run the Columbia Tower or run the Sears Tower or do, 50 flights of stairs to become proficient at walking stairs. I had this one patient who, I think in October, she's been doing about 6 months now. She started walking during every hour of her workday. She works in a bigger building, and she would walk 2 flights of stairs up and down every hour. She was basically doing zero physical activity before this. And so that's what she can do. She'd walk up and down the stairs, 2 flights every hour. And then now, she's walked over 6 months, 5 days a week, every hour. It takes her basically less than a minute to do this, but she has walked a crazy amount of stairs. And guess what? She is really proficient, having gone from she could not get up an entire flight of stairs without stopping and catching her breath to now walking up and down, 2 flights of stairs and it's no big deal at all. And she's adding weight. Now she holds, she holds this weight now when she walks up and down the stairs each time. But her body's become proficient at that because she practiced it. So I find a lot of patients and people generally are very scared and think, I can't do that. That's too challenging. That's too much, going to the gym or doing a pull-up or doing the CrossFit or these things, there's no way I could do that. The thing is, every human being on the planet could not do that before. There was a point where, like, for instance, my oldest daughter, Liberty, she tries to do pull-ups. She cannot physically currently do a strict pull-up. She can't just pull herself up to a bar on her own. She can do it with a band, but she can't pull herself up to the bar on her own. However, I'm 100% positive that Liberty, probably within the next year or so, will be able to do a pull-up on her own. Why? Because she just wants to practice that, and she likes doing it. It's not because she's some super 8-year-old or 7-year-old. It's because she's going to just practice it, and she's going to teach her body how to do that. That is how it is for all of us. No matter when we're talking about just moving our body weight, if we practice something, sure, some people may start a little bit ahead of us than others, but if we practice it, we put a little energy into it, we will be able to do it. If you are able to do a pull-up, I guarantee you're going to feel this sense of accomplishment. Like, wow, I cannot believe I did a pull-up. This is awesome. I'm going to text my buddies or text my daughter or, tell my coach, whatever, because you're going to tell us on here, I'm sure. I get looking forward to it. But being able to manage our own weight, manage our own being is crucial for living a health accumulating life. We need, it is desirable for us to, and internally for ourselves personally, for our family, for our friends, those around us, it's desirable that we can manage our own being. It's like getting on an airplane and, if you can't lift the carry-on bag you brought in over your head and into the carry-on bin, you should not have brought that bag with you because you cannot care. You cannot care for yourself unless you have some disability or something. Then fine, yes, no big deal. But if there is not a specific disability that's keeping you and is just a matter of lack of fitness, then I would suggest that we build up the necessary fitness so that we can handle ourselves, so we can take care of ourselves, so we don't have to need or require these interventions from our external environment to allow ourselves to live day to day or live on our vacation or do our work or get our groceries in from our car into the house or from the grocery store into our car. The sooner we do this, the sooner we start putting out this effort, the sooner we will reap the benefits. Please do not go another day without putting some kind of stress, some kind of pressure on your body to enable it to respond and adapt so that tomorrow you are just a little bit stronger than you are today. And it doesn't, literally, if a person does, say for instance, you want to do a pull-up. I think it's a really good idea. Okay, so you can't do a pull-up right now. What you could do is, one, you could buy a little pull-up bar, and they're like $20, and you could put it in your door, or if you have a beam or something you can hold on to, you could put that up in your door, or go to your gym and do this too, and literally just hang there. You could say, okay, I'm gonna hang here. I'm gonna see how long I can hang onto this bar. All right, so say you can hang on to the bar for 20 seconds. So what I would do is I would cut that 20 seconds in half, and I would say, all right, I'm going to hang on the bar for 10 seconds. I'm going to wait 30 seconds, and then I'm going to hang on the bar again for 10 seconds. And I'm going to do that for 5 rounds. And I'm going to do that 3 times a week for the next month. That simple act right there, you're going to be shocked. If you were to do this, you might as well. If you can't do a pull-up, let's get there. We all can get there. We all can get there. I'm telling you, we can all get there. That simple act of just hanging there, building up that grip strength, seems like nothing when you're doing it. It just, what am I even doing here? But after a month, you will notice that, wow, that is crazy. Before, it was getting hard for me to hold those 10 seconds. I could hold the first 10 seconds, it wasn't too bad. Second 10 seconds was getting harder. The third, fourth, I couldn't even hold the fifth 10 seconds the whole time. And now, after 1 month, you can do all 5 rounds of those 10-second holds with ease. And it's just 1 month has passed. Did you lose a bunch of weight? Probably not. Do we care about that? No. We're building health. We're accumulating health. As we accumulate health, as we change the inner workings of our body, as we force adaptation in our body, stuff like fat going away happens. But right now, we are not concerned with fat going away. We are concerned with making ourselves healthier, making ourselves stronger, making ourselves more resistant to life, making it so that we can adapt. If you have more strength on you, if you have more muscle mass in you, every condition known to mankind has a decreased intensity on your body. Your or my sensations of pain are lessened if we have more muscle mass on us versus fat. If we have, if we're in a car accident, that kind of thing, the likelihood of us surviving is greater if we have more muscle mass on us. If we are, somewhere, or say we have cancer, which there's tons of studies on this, the more muscle mass we have on us, the less likelihood we are going to have of dying of that cancer. Whether you have cancer or you're just trying to prevent cancer, either way, the more muscle mass we have in our body, the less likely we are to die of that cancer. The less likelihood we are of having heart disease, the less likelihood we're having type 2 diabetes, the less likelihood of having Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things. If we are in a consistently forcing adaptation to occur in our body. And one of the best ways is to say, okay, if I'm a standard sitter, if sitting is my mode of action, if reclining is my mode of action right now, if laying down is my mode of action, TV watching is my mode of action, I'm going to force adaptation in my body. So what I could do is I could just, walk around the house a few times on a daily basis to force adaptation. Because if we're a sitter and we start walking, we are forcing adaptation. And if I'm a walker, if I I tend to go out for a walk a couple times a week, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or walk my dogs kind of thing. Well, what we could do to force adaptation is we could become a jogger, or we could start walking some stairs, or we could, at the end of our walking session 3 times a week, we could do a set of push-ups to failure, or we could do some air squats to failure, or we could do some lunges to failure. Which that word failure is a beautiful thing when we're talking about fitness. Anytime you go to failure in fitness, in a resisted activity, you are forcing a crazy amount of adaptation. In fact, you're forcing more adaptation than you could any other way. Creating failure in a tissue is, you don't need a coach, you don't need a trainer or anything. If you just force failure, if you went to failure, like push-ups to failure, air squats to failure, lunges to failure, running to failure, so running to failure would be like, I'm going to sprint, and when I start slowing down, that means I'm failing. You're slowing down, so you're not able to keep that speed. Finding failure is what I'd be looking for this month, April. Our saying, our little cliche here can be finding failure. Can I find failure in a daily activity? to enable and force adaptation in our body. We find failure, we're going to get genetic changes in our muscle tissue. Those genetic changes are going to facilitate gut, our bacterial changes, which is going to facilitate decreased inflammation in our body, which is going to facilitate youthfulness in our tissues, decrease in our risk of all manner of disease, causing us to be much, much better metabolizers of fatty tissue, and giving our body the signal that, hey, you know what, my name's Matt, and I would like to be more youthful. I would like to be younger. I'm 38 right now, and I don't want to get any older. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to force some adaptation, and guess what? The body will do. It'll be like, great, Matt, let's do this. You're forcing us to adapt. We're going to try to make it so easy for you to walk that you're going to have to run. We're going to make it so easy for you to run that you're going to have to start doing like high intensity interval training. We're going to make it so easy for you to do high intensity interval training that you're going to have to, start doing some, specific weight training movements and strength training movements, and change your program up so that we have to continue adapting. Create the opportunity for the body to do what is awesome at, which is adaptation. And I am 100% positive that you will be like, this is the best thing ever. Not only is my body feeling good, and I'm getting fitter, but my brain feels awesome. My brain feels on fire in a good way. I got all these reward signals hitting me, there's endless studies. I've talked about the book Spark and all these different studies on the effects of the brain, and how depression is essentially intricately married to a lack of physical activity and a sedentary lifestyle, and the very active increasing physical activity pretty much turns off the anxiety signals, turns off the depression signals, and instead of 22.9% of Americans doing some kind of physical activity on a weekly basis, if 90% of us were doing physical activity on a regular basis, we would literally shut down the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor market. All these antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, they would just go away, because everybody would be doing their own medicating with physical activity. All right, so I'm just going to write up on here a little activity thing you could do over the coming month that any of us could do to help promote the adaptation we want. Our bones adapting, getting stronger. Our muscles adapting, getting stronger. Our gut bacteria becoming more, what's the word? Basically, when we exercise, our gut bacteria, the types and families of gut bacteria change, which causes changes in inflammation, changes in our brain chemistry, and overall makes us less susceptible to all the pathogens and junk going around our environment. So I'll put this on the top in the heading of this video. I hope you guys crush it. Tara, pumped to hear your stories about squats to failure. That's going to be fun. And look forward to seeing you guys next week. So I'd love to hear what you guys are doing, what you're adding to your weekly regimen. And hopefully there's a little failure component to that, because that is going to lead you down the path of accumulating health via muscle adaptation. And when muscles adapt, our bodies get younger. And when our bodies get younger, everything works better.